Today we're back out on 21 Road in Grand Junction. This is such a fun trail and it's always constantly changing because a lot of water runs through this canyon. So today we're trying out a few different lines that I've never been on before. This trail is always a great time. Pretty cool line. I've never seen anyone do this one before. Trying to get out over here.
These two huge rocks are basically right in the middle of the trail, and we've never tried driving over them before. The backside is soft sand with a big undercut on one of the rocks, so it's kind of hard just to even get the front end up and over those rocks. Once you get the front end over, then you got to get that back end to climb up and over that big undercut. So that requires sometimes putting it into rear only, so that everything doesn't bind up, so that you can pull and pop that rear end back out of that big undercut.
Hey, stay out of there now. Climb up.
Tony was the first one through this spot. He basically stayed far passenger, so he had to work it to try and get that tire out of that big pinch point between those two rocks. So he had to keep working it in rear only till he could get that tire to pop up and out of that big wedge. The departure off this rock is really steep as well, so you just got to take it easy and let it slowly drop down. As Jamie's up next, he's going to stay a little bit more driver. He's going to try a little bit different approach than the way that Tony took. He puts the car into rear only at this point so that he can try and make sure it doesn't get too bound up. What that'll do is allow the rear to start climbing up and out of that big undercut. Once the front touches down, now we can put it back into four-wheel drive.
Good, how are you? It took a long turn somewhere. Yeah. It's like the right turn to me.
As Jonathan starts making his approach, he's going to try and keep it more centered rather than staying to the passenger side or the driver's side.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. We had oh, okay. On 600 road, yeah. Okay. Oh, might have something. Yeah. You got everything you need? I'll get high this way, you get high the other way, so kind of in the middle.
Girls, be careful over there.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
All right, good job.
Now it's my turn. This is the advantage you get by being one of the last ones to go. You get to see how everybody else approached it. So what I'm going to try and do is try to keep it in the middle the best I can. And then when that rear starts to climb, I'll put it in the rear only so that I can get the rear to pop up through that big undercut.
You're looking really good, Rob.
Think that's gonna climb? I'm gonna have to go clear over this one, but yeah, we'll go. We'll try it now.
At this point, I disengage the front and put it in the rear only. That way, I'm going to get that rear axle to climb up through that undercut without the front pulling against it. It's just easier on parts. As you can see here, that tire is basically folded over as it finally pops up over that ledge.
Hey, watch out, Maddie. Hey,
What?
stay out of the way.
Clear?
Yeah.
As I drop off this big rock, I'm just going to take it slow and easy and make sure nothing gets weird.
Thanks. You guys showed me the line.
Big drop coming down.
Ah, it wasn't too bad. I mean the grub.
We continue working our way up the trail and hit some of these other obstacles along the way. That's a great thing about this trail. There's so many just random obstacles throughout this wash. This is another really cool big rock to drop off of. Just random rocks like this are strewn about the trail, super cool to try out all these different features. The front side of this rock isn't too bad to drive up and over. It's when you drop off the back side that it's nearly straight up and down. And so what it does is it gets you to slide on the belly pan just a little bit, and then you've got to work it to get the rest of the vehicle to slide over.
Yeah, they're much littler than the tadpoles.
Which one? You hit.
Now it's my turn to go up this big rock and drop off this steep backside.
They need to get over here more. No.
You want to go passenger off this. Keep coming.
It definitely feels a little weird sitting in here at this point because you can't really see much. You know your front axle's dropping over the edge of this rock, and I wanted it to be lined up just right so that the both front sides of the tires drop at the same time. However, the passenger side had already dropped, so I needed to just slowly get that driver's side to drop over it as well.
Jumpers.
Hold on. Just save it for a sec.
I slowly try to inch it off so that I don't drop off too fast, and just slowly work the rear axle and the front axle just to keep inching forward.
Mom, will you look at little jumpers?
You're good. You're about to touch.
Once I get that front axle to touch the ground, I know I can just slowly drop the rear back off.
Oh, you got it.
We continue working our way up the trail towards the alcove. The alcove is one of the coolest features along this trail. This is the big wedge in the alcove. This spot gets a little bit more interesting because your tires get nice and muddy before you start to climb up it. This spot is a really fine line between keeping your sidewall of that driver's side tire against that rock and keeping the passenger side up on that wall. Back tire doesn't climb up on the rock on the driver's side and it stays down in the wedge. However, the car is able to fully flex that out and keep that tire moving through this crack. At this point, he puts it in the rear only. That allows the rear to drive up and out of this crack without the front pulling against it. it's my turn to start working up this one. And what I'm trying to do is keep that passenger tire up on that wall and keep that driver's side tire inside this rock, but I end up letting it slip off, and now I gotta reposition. This time I'm able to keep that front where I want it, and then that back axle starts climbing where I need it to as well. The great thing about this trail is as you continue working your way up it, there's random boulder fields that have all these different cool lines on it. So there's a non-stop amount of fun lines to play around on. This particular spot can really flex you out good. You really have to get that passenger side tire high up over that point and allow it not to drop off. If you do drop off into this spot, it would be a real pain to try and get it back out because you'd be wedged up against that passenger side pretty good. Now it's my turn to start working through this wedge type section. I'm just going to try and keep that passenger side tire up high and then split the difference. As I try to get the rear tire to climb, it ends up biting off a little too much and starting to pull up that driver's side. However, it eventually starts to climb, settling the front end back down.
I'll go back to all four. I let it get too undercut under there.
When the kids aren't catching lizards and toads out on the trail, another thing they'd like to do is bring their RC cars out. This is a great time, gives them a little bit more practice driving when they're not driving the big cars.
All right. That's good.
Just a reminder to like this video, leave a comment, let us know what you think of this video. Also, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. That's the easiest way to help support us if you like this sort of content. And yet, here's another great obstacle along the way on this awesome trail. This is a wedge type obstacle. So basically you just want to try to settle in there and keep it level, work your way through it. This trail just continues to have super cool obstacle after another. It just never lets up.
Yep, you're almost to the top. Keep coming. Yeah.
Now this spot is known as Carnage Corner. This is the last little bit of trail, and this is the bit of trail that you can't bypass or drive around any of the obstacles. This line under the rock used to be the harder line. Now it's changed a bit, and this is the easier line, as Emily and Maddie drive their way through here. Now this line used to be the easier line around Carnage Corner. However, it's washed out a bit, and now this is the harder line. And this spot would be pretty tricky to get through without rear steer.
That section has gotten a lot better.
How was it?
Good.
Were you scared?
No.
No, you weren't scared? Were you scared, Maddie? You guys did awesome.
I used to
It's actually
like
pretty narrow chassis. It's only 48.
Em said wasn't going to tip you.
Yeah, she was.
And Mom wasn't going to spot you into an area you're going to get tipped.
Oh yeah.
No trust.
This particular spot I haven't tried before, and what it's got is on the driver's side a huge undercut ledge. You have to be careful not to let that driver's side tire get sucked under that undercut ledge. Otherwise, it can be really hard on parts.
tight.
After this section of rocks, there's only one more obstacle. Then what people do is turn around at the top and drive back down. Typically, otherwise there's a really long road you can drive all the way back out to the start of this. John and Kate end up making pretty quick work of this obstacle. This one can be really tricky because if you let one of those tires slip underneath one of those rocks, it can get bound up real quick.
Tight little spot, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you can really get stuck in that hole.
Yeah.
Now it's my turn to start working my way through this tricky little section.
Yeah.
I don't think that rock used to be in there. The one on the bottom.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it used
what.
to be up here.
Yeah.
I want to stay up here.
Okay.
As I approach it, I decide I
Turn your
want to
rear
try and
straight.
keep my driver's side high up on that rock and see if I can ride this wall all the way through this.
Cut your rear's good. Your rear's good. Keep coming.
I want to pull the front end up.
It starts to get bound up right here, so what I do is put it in the front only and see if I can get it to climb up on that passenger side rock. Although it starts to slip off and I fall into the crack.
That's all right if you drop right there. You're fine. Hey, turn your rear passenger just a hair. There. Okay, now climb this when you can. Try to climb this wall and this driver. Yeah.
I'm able to recover and keep moving forward. However, the rear driver's side tire starts to get a little bound up.
Cut the rear back, yeah, right there.
At this point, I get that rear driver's side tire bound up, and I need to get it freed. So what I end up doing is putting it in the rear only, and giving it a little gas and then working the rear steer till I can get that tire freed up. At that point, I can put it into four-wheel drive again and try and pull out of this hole.
Does it? Yeah. Think that helps a bit? Yeah. Yeah, you look through. There it goes.
As we make our way back down, we decide to stop at one of the alcoves we didn't hit on the way up. This big alcove has a few different obstacles underneath it as well. That's what's so great about this trail. There's just so many different optional lines through it. It just makes a really nice, fun, long day.
The Bronco guy might be more interesting.
Oh, for sure.
Gonna wreck something over there.
This trail is also a great way to beat the summer heat. The fact that it's in a canyon and it has a little bit of water in it keeps it a lot cooler than some of the other trails around. So this trail is a great option in the middle of summer to try and stay out of the hot western Colorado temperatures.
Job, Rob. I didn't know.
And we're playing around in one of the alcoves, and then our 4-seat buggy, of all things, ends up blowing a power steering line. And it's one of the high pressure ones that go to the steering ram. And I've never blown one of those before, so it's kind of eye-opening to me. Luckily, there was a Bronco club that happened to be on the trail today. Bronco group, guy who runs Bronco Safari, and he happened to have a spare AN6 power steering line. It saved me from having to go back all the way to my trailer and get one of my repairable ends, and kind of saved our day. So anyway, it's awesome, the people that you meet on the trails. So this last weekend, I've had a few plumbing issues. So when we're up in Rangeley, I blew a radiator line in the rear steer car, and then in our 4-seat car, the drag axle car, we end up blowing a power steering line. So yep, both buggies broke this weekend, but that's just the way it goes with the game we like to play. So it happens sometimes, but the good thing is we made it back to the trailer.